Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a good week. Maybe as the doctor ordered from the stock market standpoint, at least going into today, the market did quiet down a bit. More on that on Monday. Let me start, as they say, preaching to the choir. If you're watching this video, thank you very much. If this is a weekly ritual, thank you even more. If this is a once in a while thing, let me ask one thing of you. Yes, I'd love for you to watch more often, but I'll keep making these videos and they'll be here if you want them. I just want to ask that if things like we've seen in the markets, not this week, but last week with the election, the Fed, there's a lot of weeks like that. Even if you're just wondering what's going on as we approach the end of the year, please just click on the videos. Especially if something big happens in the world, I'm going to plan to either address that in a normal video on Monday or Friday, or you may see some special videos come up. And finally, there are going to be times where I'm sending you special videos just for you, based on your goals, your holdings, and your situation in life. If for any reason you don't want these, please let me know. They are on the front page of the website in most cases, but if for any reason the emails are getting too much, just let Rebecca know and we'll adjust what you get. Okay, let's follow up on last Friday's video about the risk audit. The videos to help keep you informed and the risk audit, those are two of my big pushes as we come to the end of the year. Risk, as you may have heard me say, is truly a four-letter word. And as for investment risk, I do maintain this is a time to review where you stand. I want to add another risk to talk about. There are a few of them, but here's just one. Before I even lay this out, I want to remind you I do not give personal tax advice. I do look forward to speaking to you and your legal team and your tax team on detailed plans for what we're about to talk about. I just had a great meeting with one of you, my valued and cherished clients, and a great estate planning attorney. If you've not had this meeting, please let me know. We should discuss having one soon. What risk did we address? Well, yes, we addressed the risk of the possible tax law changes and if the documents they had were up to date. But this wasn't really what we were doing. As a famous quote by Harvard Business School professor Theodore Levitt said, people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill. They want a quarter-inch hole. We did not focus on the will, the trust, the powers of attorney, as great estate plan does. We talked about the whole, the desired outcome. And this is where I want to refocus you. I'm not sure about you, but I was so tired of the commentators on TV on election day, starting as soon as the first votes were cast. These panels on every channel spent all day and lots of wasted oxygen in the room talking about something they knew nothing about. Who was going to win? They cited exit polls and betting sites and anything and everything that they could. We also talked about a story that came up about the hurricane season in South Carolina. At least that's where we were. And how the weather reporters in hurricane areas will talk nonstop since they have the airtime. Actually, the only real news before the storm hits is released every 6 hours at 5 a.m., 11 a.m., 5 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Time by the National Hurricane Center. I want to suggest all the talking between these reports. This is the noise, and again, we need to focus on the signal, not the noise. The focus of our meeting was about what the estate plan should accomplish. No one wants to talk about mortality, but if you want to plan for your heirs, this is the type of focus you should have at these meetings. This was focus one and the main focus. Then we move to the next level. How do you do this in the most tax efficient way possible? There are a lot of ideas that need to be evaluated, and with the incoming administration, we really don't know what will exactly happen as estate taxation is something that is a hot topic. So again, let's focus on the whole. One of the other risks, this one is that your desires for your estate will not happen the way you want them to. And this is what we reviewed. There are the tools to solve this, the drill, but the real focus is on what you want to happen. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's not as simple. I'm going to simplify a couple of things with a few items, but the meetings with the tax and legal team, they'll give you more to go on. Simplified, and I'm sure you recall, I say this often, how are your accounts titled? Who's the beneficiary of your accounts? The IRAs, the 401ks, the annuities, the life insurance. Please take this opportunity at the end of the year to check on all of this. One more item before we ride off into the weekend. Let's review, just in bullet points, some 2025 changes to the tax rules. And many of you, this will affect. So if the bullet points sound like you need more information, please contact myself and your tax advisor. The standard deduction amount will be going up in 2025. Most Americans do not choose to itemize their deductions since the standard deduction will often be more favorable to the average taxpayer. The alternative minimum tax exemption designed for high earners to pay a minimum tax, that is also increased. If it applies to you, make sure you ask about it. Income tax brackets have also been adjusted to account for rising wages. And here's one for a number of you. Americans working in other countries will also see an increase in their exclusion income of foreign earned income, minimizing that amount that you're going to have double taxation on. And something we went over in our estate planning meeting, the estate tax exclusion jumps to $13.99 million per person in 2025. This is a part that I'm talking about that is in motion. This law expires at the end of 2025, and if nothing's done, pre-2018 levels will return. As we'll see next year, let the negotiations begin. All right, that's enough for today. I'm really not trying to be a downer, nor one to be overly worried. But if you're watching the markets, reading, or even flipping on social media, you may only be hearing about the sunshine and rainbows of this market. Don't get me wrong, this is a great time. Markets hitting all-time highs usually mean wealth creation, and that's something, of course, I focus on every day. I just want to be sure that we keep in mind that there are still risks. As I said last week, please use this time when markets are at highs to review your asset allocations to be sure your risk is in line with your goals. And since last week I shared some Warren Buffett quotes, and since you may have noticed that he's been accumulating a lot of cash in Berkshire Hathaway, I guess I'll just say this. I'm not going to tell you why he's doing it. There are a lot of theories, but unless your goal and situation match his, which I don't think many of yours does, please understand that everyone has to have an allocation to match their goals. Like I spoke about last week, if you're 90 years old plus, do you really need to have a high risk profile? Please keep that in mind. Most importantly, let's talk about it. Please, the risk audit time is now. Have a great weekend. Keep an eye out for videos, especially when things get a little more active in the news cycle.